glorify him and show them my salvation.
Hey everyone, this is Mike Lindell, and you're watching His Glory TV.
And we want to welcome all of His Glory Nation from east to west to north to south. Welcome to today's War Report. You saw Mike Lindell give the shout out today. You know, it brought a smile on my face. Every time I see Mike Lindell, he always puts me in a good mood because, you know, the world comes against him, but he just keeps on keeping on and has his faith in Jesus. And he knows at the end of the day, light wins. And we need to all be like that because remember, Christ in us is a conqueror over the world. Our King has the last move always as checkmate. Soon Satan's checkmate is coming. He knows it. That's why the world is chaotic. All right, speaking of chaotic, an Apache helicopter, U.S. helicopter, was shot down. There was some going back and forth how it got shot down, that the pilots were rescued. President Trump just came out and said it was Iran that shot down the Apache helicopter, and there will be a U.S. response. All right, so this is going to get intense. I mentioned yesterday that I got a heads up by actually two generals on Sunday morning that something significant was going to happen on that Sunday. And it was far deeper than what we originally thought. There's a video that's on our thread, and I don't know if we'll be able to get to it, but you can go back and see it on there, about Bibi Netanyahu Sunday, why he went after Iran. He was warning, his words were that Iran was on the doorstep of the nation of Israel with a nuclear, he said a nuclear. And some are wondering, what did he mean by that? I think I mentioned this like a week ago. One of my sources, and it was kind of vague, said that there was a threat, that they were concerned that Iran had some sort of nuclear device and could let it go. Not necessarily something that they built themselves. It could have been from another country. It could have been a dirty bomb. I don't know. They weren't specific. But it's very interesting that Benjamin Netanyahu said that's why Israel acted, and that's why Israel couldn't stand down. So, as you know, they act quickly and hard. I got a briefing today from General Avivi. We'll get General Avivi back on. He's been busy. He's been called closer into Benjamin Netanyahu's inner circle. He's one of three generals that are very close to Benjamin Netanyahu that you've seen on His Glory several times. And General Avivi, in this recap, said that when all these missiles and drones came against Iran, or from Iran to Israel, when they were just being bombarded, we said the sirens were going off. He said there was 100% success rate. So that's amazing. That is called, part of that is David Sling, and it's a small world. The person for David Sling actually worked at one of my garages in Ohio. His father was the engineer from Ohio for David Sling. So it's an incredibly small world. All right, the updates. Gold is down 4,256. Silver is down $3, 65.29. You know they're going to do a purge on silver because they're not going to be able to hold it down for much longer. It's a great time to stack up and buy. Many forecasts at 309 or more. Crude oil is down to 88. The Dow is up 86, NASDAQ down 67. Cryptos getting clipped a little bit. Bitcoin's at 61.7. XRP at 114. So that is the finances. We keep an eye on the oil market because as oil goes, so does the economy and prices. I know I just filled my truck up the other day and it was $80 and it was I had a quarter tank. So the American people are feeling that. All right, I believe we're going to the White House. Nope. All right, let's go. Let's go to the feed. All right, Trump provides update after U.S. helicopter goes down near the Strait of Hormuz. This is from the Western Journal, and that's been updated just now as President Trump says Iran was involved in this. All right, Glenn Beck tells me federal election fraud charges will soon be brought against people in California. It will be election fraud charges in the next, I hate to put timelines on things, but 1 to 2 months, I believe. We need some of these results. Let's see the rest of this. Again, many think that maybe President Trump set California up to walk into this trap because it is so obvious they were cheating. We need some of these results to be certified so we can prove some of the allegations, but we'll be charging some people. What we need right now are witnesses. I'm told they're going to look around homeless people and illegals. They have some pretty good evidence to prove that they cheated on that. All right, here's Raymond. Even lost her own district. So this is what people are pointing on cheating, because the first two votes in California, whether you're Republican or Democrat, go to the finals in the fall. So remember, Gavin Newsom said, we will do whatever it takes to keep a Democrat in there. So she actually conceded and wasn't even close. And then all these batches that came in days later, she was actually getting more votes than Karen Bass, who was leading. So this Raymond even lost her own district, CD4, to Spencer Pratt and Karen Bass. But you expect us to believe she beat them both by winning 40% of the vote and the rest of the city by mail-in ballots? It stinks. It absolutely stinks. We need justice, because if you don't have true voting, which we know we don't. You saw Patrick Byrne on with me last week on the Take 5, how Venezuela influenced 72 countries' elections, and they tried to do the same thing, and they almost got away with it again in 2024. But as Patrick and other generals have told you on his glory, it was by the grace of God that was stopped. We got to get our election integrity. That's why the Save America Act must get done. All right, BRICS News. President Trump tells Israeli Prime Minister he could be left alone against Iran. You better be careful what you do, because you could be left alone against Iran very soon. There's some pushback that are they not getting along, or is it a fight? Does President Trump really want to stop this? I don't know, but I wouldn't be surprised if this was all for play and that behind the scenes they're on the same page. Because remember, you don't want to tell your enemy in public what you're doing. It's war. All right, leading report, declassified CIA files allege U.S. plans to control the world by manipulating the weather. This is the Daily Mail. I brought this up today. We did a 1-hour Take 5 with my friend Thomas Renz and Horowitz about geoengineering. So you're going to want to see that Take 5 when that comes out. It is a serious threat to us. And what they're trying to do is to eliminate our food source. All right, let's watch this. All hell on Iran.
So when people scratch their head and they say, why hasn't he bombed the crap out of everything in Iran? Or why hasn't he done this? Why hasn't he done that? Well, first of all, if people are looking at it from the standpoint of the issue is Iran, then they're not going to understand anything that Donald Trump is doing. Secondly, what he is trying to do is also create the conditions where there is something of this country left. For all the peaceniks out there who get their panties in a bunch about Donald Trump, the guy could have bombed them back to the Stone Age 2 months ago. He clearly doesn't want to. Just like he didn't want to send in an invading army to Venezuela. He's trying to create the circumstances in a much more difficult situation than Venezuela, where something organic can emerge from within that nation so that they can actually govern themselves. And in order to do that, you actually still have to have some economy left. You have to have an infrastructure. I think strategically, the Iranian military has been fatally, mortally crippled. Their defense industrial base has been mortally crippled. Their economy is crippled by the closure of the strait and the fact that they have no place to store any more oil. And Scott Bessent is carrying out Operation Economic Fury, closing off billions and billions of dollars of flows, including crypto, that the IRGC has used. You think about this. Think about the wars that we've been dragged into and the hundreds of thousands of people who have died on our side among civilian populations in the Mideast. The horror of that over the past several decades. And look at what he is doing in terms of trying to strategically change what Iran is without that devastation and death. Now, where a lot of the pressure comes from in terms of why isn't he bombing the crap out of them, is we're all sitting there saying, oh my God, We know the effect that this is having on the American people as we go into the midterm elections. I hope this gets over soon. But you do not want to trade that off against the fact that he is moving strategically to carry out a fundamental shift, breaking 100 years of British imperial control. This is one of the last nodal points in terms of that. And yet he's trying to do it without destroying a nation and killing tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people. That's pretty amazing. And I think people need to take a breath and think about that.
Very good point. You can't destroy their economy. We want the people of Iran to be able to prosper. But something big is up. You know, you saw the 82nd Airborne go into the area. They were part of the rescue mission of that Apache helicopter. Special forces are on standby, and every general is telling me something significant is about to happen. We'll be right back. Join the Billion Soul Harvest. What if your monthly gift helped reach thousands with the gospel? Become a His Glory Kingdom Builder. Choose between bronze, silver, gold, or platinum partnership and help us expand the Billion Soul mission. Scan the QR code today to donate. Help us bring 1 billion souls to Jesus Christ. Introducing the His Glory Legacy Membership, your opportunity to partner with the ministry and help bring in the Billion Soul Harvest. As a Legacy member, you'll enjoy exclusive savings, special perks, and unique opportunities like a quarterly Zoom meeting with myself. Unlock 20% of ongoing member pricing on Kingdom Collection, Holy Land, and Faith and exclusive apparel. Sign up today and get a free hat signed by myself. Scan the QR code now. If you struggle with high blood sugar, you know how frustrating it can be. Every meal turns into a battle with your blood sugar meter. Not exactly fun. It doesn't have to be that way. You see, when blood sugar levels aren't well supported, it can lead to energy dips, cravings, and that sluggish feeling that makes it hard to stay focused. That's where Pure Health Research Blood Sugar Formula comes in. This powerful supplement contains 10 carefully selected ingredients designed to support healthy blood sugar levels. Ingredients like cinnamon extract, chlorium, alpha lipoic acid, and bitter melon work together to help support healthy glucose metabolism and steady energy throughout the day. Many people say that they notice fewer cravings, more balanced energy, and an easier time sticking to healthy habits. Just 2 capsules a day. Right now, you can try Blood Sugar Formula risk-free, 365-day money-back guarantee. Just go to purehealthresearch.com and use code GLORY to save 35% today, support healthy blood sugar, and feel more balanced, energized, and in control of your day.
What if you could predict your financial future? And what if you could trade on it? Introducing Block Trust IRA, the future in your hands. An astonishing 88,000 millionaires were created last year from the Bitcoin boom, and you could be next. Block Trust IRA is the only crypto management firm powered by AI-driven strategies, ranked #1 in the world by Bitcoin Magazine. The Block Trust IRA platform is built for everyone, from first-time buyers to seasoned investors. Predictive AI technology that was once only reserved for insiders and elites is now available to you. It's time to leave the old buy and hold strategies behind. Your assets are protected with military-grade security, offline cold storage, and $200 million in insurance. Visit BlockTrustIRA.com to book your free consultation and ask how to claim up to $2,500 in deposit bonuses today. Block Trust IRA. Invest smarter. Retire stronger.
Stop leaving your health to chance. Get the ultimate reset with Purge, Advanced Cleanse, and ToxyBinder. Purge eliminates parasites, while ToxyBinder flushes the dead parasites and toxic waste out of your body. You need both for a total cleanse. Subscribe to Purge now and get your ToxyBinder for free. Plus, use code HISGLORY for 10% off. Visit www.purgestore.com/HisGlory today.
All right, we have Carol with us today. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? It's a beautiful day in Washington, D.C. President Trump is here at the White House in some policy meetings right now. Everybody is looking forward to the big UFC fight. I don't know if you could see the construction sort of. It's actually off camera, but right that way. You could see them. They have built the majority of the octagon for that big fight on the South Lawn. And reporters like myself will be able to see that on Thursday. They're going to actually take us back there and show us the construction. It's literally been transformed. So it's pretty amazing here at the White House. And in the meantime, everybody's still talking about Kristen Welker, still making the rounds on social media. That episode where President Trump walked off and politely told her that he was going to be departing. And as you know, the mainstream media really misconstrued that and said that it's because she's black and it's because she's a female. We had actually shown some videos yesterday on Lindell TV where Alice and I, as you know, have been treated terribly by Democrats, cursed out, called way worse names than darling, and nobody ever stuck up for us then. But everybody's in uproar over this. So I thought this was an interesting video that was posted by an account called Maze, saying the people claiming President Trump walked out on Kristen Welker because she's a woman and black is moronic. Here's President Trump walking out on another reporter, and it says here that it has nothing to do with her being a woman and everything to do with her being a biased, rude waste of time. Check out this video when President Trump walked out on another reporter a while ago.
Media is so protected, and it's ridiculous that they're so protected, but they can write virtually anything. The difference is, with me, at least they pay some price. And I think more people should have that attitude, and I think you'd find a lot more accurate reporting, including yours.
What was inaccurate so far?
I thought your demeanor was inaccurate. I thought that questions that you were posing to people in my organization were inaccurate and false and unfair.
Well, questions by definition can't be inaccurate. They're questions.
Well, I think the questions themselves were put in such a way that made them statements, and they became statements as opposed to questions, and I think that's not good reporting.
Such as?
It doesn't matter. I mean, I don't think your viewers would be very interested in it, nor do I want to embarrass you.
I don't think I would be, but let's talk about what we talked about yesterday. Those in the financial community I'm talking about, and we talked about this on the phone, who have said, and this is them saying it, not me.
This is them? What do you mean by them? This is one or two people, and what about the positive people?
5 or 6, but the ones who said negative things, and
here we are.
Well, we've got to talk
back to the negative.
Back to the negative.
You know what? Do this interview with somebody else.
Well, we talked about this yesterday on the phone. This is exactly what we talked.
Do the interview with somebody else. Really, you don't need this. Do it with somebody else. Have a good time.
Because frankly, you're a very negative guy, and I think it's a very unfair reporting. Good luck.
I disagree with you. Sorry to feel that way.
So he went to shake his hand, similar to the way he sort of tapped and patted Kristen Welker on the back. I think he did feel bad, but you know, he was just making a point that she was out of line, really. And I think everybody can admit that President Trump really doesn't discriminate when it comes to people that he walks off on or insults. If you even just look at the Republican primary from 2016, everybody on the stage, from the Hispanic that is Marco Rubio to Jeb Bush, who is a white man, he insulted the same. So I don't think it had anything to do with Kristen Welker being a woman or black. It's ridiculous. President Trump also, as you know, last night was at that Knicks game in Madison Square Garden. A lot of people talking about the security there, hoping that the Secret Service was up to par, as well as the NYPD, in protecting the president, which they did. A lot of New Yorkers were upset about it. President Trump, if you could bring up that CBS News article reporting on this, and President Trump was booed loudly by fans. There was some cheering, but some booing as well inside Madison Square Garden when he was shown on video screens during the national anthem. President Trump, as you know, the first sitting president to attend a NBA Finals game. And there was chants of USA, USA echoing through the arena as the Star Spangled Banner was sung, but gave way moments later to boos as President Trump was displayed on the jumbo screens giving a military salute. That was sort of to be expected. I did predict that President Trump would be booed at Madison Square Garden. Generally a Trump deranged crowd hanging out in New York City, to say the least. New York City, a lot of violence, sadly. I don't know if you saw some of the videos of some of the violence transpiring around the city. It's almost like we can't have nice things in New York City. When you have big crowds, for whatever the reason, violence ensues. So good thing that wasn't around Madison Square Garden, but in other areas of the city. So that was that NBA game. I'm sure President Trump will get a different reception as he enters the UFC makeshift stadium behind me this Sunday when the UFC comes to the White House. We're definitely looking forward to that, Pastor. And speaking of that UFC fight, there was a lawsuit filed. If you guys could bring up that article as well, a lawsuit attempts to stop the UFC fight at the White House on Trump's birthday. A federal lawsuit was filed Saturday seeking to shut down the UFC fighting championship last night, fight night on the White House South Lawn on President Trump's birthday. And the lawsuit, which was filed by a Public Integrity Project on behalf of a political activist and an Air Force veteran, calls the plan surrounding the July 14th event deeply corrupt and argues that they seek to enrich the president and his allies. Just goes on there. I don't think this lawsuit will really have any effect on the UFC fight this weekend. I think it's arbitrary and capricious. That's just my opinion. I'm not a legal expert. I don't see it going anywhere. It's just another Trump deranged person, an activist who is filing this lawsuit, trying to spoil the fun, I guess, for everybody. Very much looking forward to this fight happening in Washington, D.C. There will be a viewing party free to the public here at the Ellipse on jumbo screens. And as you know, it's generally very expensive to watch these UFC fights, so people can come and watch. And there's viewing parties around Washington, D.C., and a lot of people coming in, bringing tourism. So that is something a lot of people, to be honest, are looking forward to, myself included, this weekend. As well. So just a lot of stuff going on. I know that we are generally running out of time because we have so much to talk about. But latest on President Trump and Iran really quickly. Please bring up President Trump's Truth Social post, if you don't mind, there about the helicopter that was shot down. President Trump said, "I have just been informed by our great military that last night the Iranians shot down one of our highly sophisticated Apache helicopters while patrolling over the Strait of Hormuz. There were 2 pilots involved. Both are safe and uninjured. Nevertheless, the United States must of necessity respond to this attack. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Donald J. Trump." So President Trump putting that out a little while earlier today. Really not sure what the ramifications will be for the shooting down of that helicopter, but President Trump is saying there must be some. So that's the president speaking there. And really, lastly, according to this article in The Independent, other reporting, the United States is driving ahead with legislation, I'm sure you heard about it, that massively expands intelligence sharing with Israel and eclipses the English-speaking Five Eyes Espionage Alliance. So a lot of people really talking about that intelligence sharing and possibly putting together some elements of the militaries of both Israel and the United States. It has bipartisan support, but a lot of opposition as well. It should be a very controversial bill, to say the least, as that news is coming about that and the provisions and the details. As I read more about that and look more into that bill, I'll get back to you on really what that entails, Pastor.
Kara, thank you. I think that is that separate that we're talking about putting U.S. bases in Israel?
It's fusing the military more about intelligence sharing. It's a little part of a bill sort of hidden in there. So more to come on that. I really wanted to dig deeper into that and to find out, because I'm hearing a lot on social media about what it is and what it isn't. I just wanted to be able to read it for myself. So when I do, I'll definitely get back to you on that.
Sounds good. Kara, thank you so much. All right, let's continue in the news.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, because what she's reporting about the intelligence, there was reports a couple weeks ago, probably separate from this, but that the U.S. Instead of giving money to Benjamin Netanyahu or Israel financially, military, that we actually put a base in Israel, which we've never done before. So unprecedented times, to say the least. All right, WWG1, WGA, the United States just completely obliterated Iran's top secret Fordo nuclear facility with 6 huge bunker buster bombs, 2 other major Iranian nuclear sites, and wiped it out with 30 Tomahawk missiles launched by American submarines some 400 miles away. There was also a report that I saw today. I don't know if this was in General Avivi's report or not, but there were missile launchers still active in Iran that Israel took out. I remember that's the first time Israel attacked Iran in Iran since, I think, April. And the report was that they took out mobile launchers, which I thought we had them all wiped out. So That was a good thing. All right, New York Post, more than 100. You're not going to see this anywhere on the fake news. More than 100 United Nations RWA staff helped Hamas carry out the October 7th attack. Federal watchdog. That is the United Nations. Wow. It's time to be completely done with them and get them out of the United States of America. All right, U.S. Homeland Security alert. U.S. deploys the 82nd Airborne Division paratroopers to Israel by the order of President Trump in preparation for commando raids. I was told, 82nd Airborne were part of the rescue mission of that Apache helicopter that went down in the Strait. I think it was actually in Oman, if I remember correctly. All right, let's continue. All right, this is House Leader Jeffries showing his outrage that President Trump shouldn't be going to a game. Remember, President Trump built Trump brand from New York City, Trump Tower. Let's watch.
So I've had a few things to say down the Knicks game. And, at this point, it's game day. And I think Knicks fans just want to enjoy Game 3, the first home game that we've had in 27 years. But it also is not clear to me that Donald Trump is a big Knicks fan. I mean, does this guy between Karl Rove and Karl Anthony Towns? I don't think so. He's just injecting himself into the NBA Finals because he always has to bring the MAGA circus into town.
As he's wearing a Knicks hat. You can't make this stuff up. All right, Real Robert, here it is. A memo sent by Susan Rice to the entire federal government on how to teach the 20-plus million illegal aliens they imported to vote in the U.S. elections. Let's see the rest of this. We brought this up several months ago, but this is good to know. Susan Rice was giving detailed instructions. That was a game plan for them to keep the elections and steal the elections. We're bringing in this 50 million-plus illegal aliens. Susan Rice, we got to figure out how we're going to get these illegal immigrants. It's going to be challenging to teach them how to make sure we get their votes in the belt. So that's why they went on every single way possible to get them Social Security cards, fake IDs, so that they could get on the voter rolls. And now you see why the lawsuits from the Democrats in California, Michigan, all other places, they want to keep dead people on the voter roll, and they want to keep illegal aliens because they want to have complete control. That's what the illegals coming into this country. And again, J.J. Carroll says there's probably more like 50 million plus that came in, not the 20 or 25 we've been hearing about. We'll be right back. Here's the hard truth. Numbers don't lie. They might make you uncomfortable, but they don't lie. We've tracked the price of the S&P 500, gold and silver over the last 5 years between January 2022 and May 2026 peaks. The results are staggering. The S&P 500 was up 45%, gold was up 110%, and silver was up a staggering 415%. So the question is, are you holding the right assets? This is where it has literally paid to be diversified. And that's exactly why I want you to check out my great partners over at Goldco. They are the best metals company out there. They're offering my audience a free gold and silver kit to show you the ropes and actually educate you about the power of gold and silver. Plus, you can qualify for a 10% bonus in free gold or silver just for getting started. Don't let this offer pass you by. Head over to hgngold.com. That's hgngold.com.
Live, 24/7. The truth doesn't take a day off. Every show, every episode, waiting for you. Plus content you won't find anywhere else. Now streaming on Roku, Apple TV, and Fire TV. Search His Glory. Free on every screen.
The elites are already signaling their next move. As they whisper about the next pandemic, whether it's hantavirus or another engineered crisis, you cannot afford to be unprepared. Your first line of defense is a fortified, clean body. Meet the ultimate survival duo. Purge, Advanced Digestive Cleanse, and ToxiBinder, Advanced Heavy Metal Detox. Parasites and toxins weaken your immune system, making you a target. Purge goes deep to eliminate these invaders, but killing them is only half the battle. ToxiBinder steps in to flush those dead parasites and toxic waste completely out of your system for good. Don't wait for the next lockdown. Subscribe to Purge now and get a ToxiBinder for free. Use code HISGLORY for 10% off your order. Arm yourself today at www.purgestore.com/HisGlory.
BlockTrust IRA, the only crypto management firm powered by AI-driven strategies, ranked #1 in the world by Bitcoin Magazine. Predictive AI technology that was only for insiders and elites is now available to you. We protect your assets with military-grade security, offline cold storage, and $200 million in insurance. Visit BlockTrustIRA.com to book your free consultation and ask how to claim up to $2,500 in deposit bonuses today. Bitcoin changed the game. AI changes the strategy.
If you struggle with pain, then you've probably tried the creams, the patches, the pain pills, only to find that you're still in pain. Well, that's because most topical pain products can only penetrate the 3 top layers of your skin. They can barely even scratch the surface. That's why I'm excited to tell you today about Nano Extreme. Nano Extreme is a revolutionary topical pain cream that uses a nano delivery system that shrinks the powerful natural ingredients down to the nano scale, penetrating all 7 layers of your skin and targeting your pain at the source. That's 10 times better absorption than the ordinary pain creams. I have used Nano Extreme myself. I can tell you from personal experience that it works. Targeting and relieving my pain within minutes. I love this stuff, but don't just take my word for it. Nano Extreme's positive testimonies are overwhelming. People living with chronic pain, arthritis, fibromyalgia are reporting real significant relief. Nano Extreme isn't just another pain cream, it's a game changer and the first of its kind. Right now, Nano Extreme is giving 10% off your entire order when you go to nanohisglory.com and use promo code HISGLORY. That's nanohisglory.com, promo code HISGLORY for 10% off your entire order. All right, it's time for Unfiltered with Isabella.
Well, we're going to be going over this Carmelo Anthony trial, and a verdict actually was just reached about 15 minutes ago. And just to give you a little bit of a refresher, Carmelo Anthony last year showed up to a track meet he had no business being at. He had been suspended from the school. Austin Metcalf was there for the track meet, had asked Carmelo Anthony to leave about 15 times, just following protocol and rules. And after that, Carmelo Anthony decided to stab Austin Metcalf in the chest and killed him on the scene. So Carmelo Anthony, for the longest time, had claimed self-defense. He was arrested. He had his bond lowered by the court system. He was able to get out on bond and leave, raise hundreds of thousands of dollars, bought a beautiful mansion inside of a gated community, bought a brand new Cadillac, and now this trial is revealing a whole lot more that we just didn't know before, just facts about the case that we didn't know. The craziest thing that's really happening is that Carmelo Anthony during this trial has been absolutely torn to pieces. What we're also seeing is that Carmelo Anthony's claims of self-defense that he feared for his life are just getting blown apart by witnesses that even the defense had called. Basically, what he had told what Carmelo Anthony had told Austin Metcalf was, "Touch me and you're going to find out," was constantly provoking Austin Metcalf. Austin Metcalf had no idea that he had a knife on him, and it just went from there. So if Carmelo Anthony really thought that he was in danger, he could have left the scene. He had no business being there, and this all could have been resolved and taken away, but Carmelo was not afraid. He was clearly looking for trouble. When you show up someplace that you're not supposed to be at with a knife, you're looking for trouble. And probably the most shocking part of this entire case was when Carmelo Anthony's defense attorney, Mike Howard, in a last-ditch effort to get the jurors to kind of be on their side, attempted to argue that Austin Metcalf actually was responsible for his own stabbing and said that Austin Metcalf had impaled himself, which actually prompted an audible gasp from the jurors in in the room. People couldn't believe it. And literally just 15 minutes ago, Carmelo Anthony was charged with first-degree murder, which is very well deserved. Austin Metcalf lost his life. Their family lost a son and a brother. And at the end of the day, he was a young kid. I have a brother his age, and it could have been anybody. And I think with this case especially, jurors and judges get afraid because of the race war that exists in America. But at the end of the day, that we need to follow the rule of law. And I think that, this is happening in McKinney, Texas, so not too far from where we're at in East Texas. And I think we should be expecting a lot of riots, unfortunately. But that's what we're going to be discussing today on Unfiltered.
Well, Isabella, thank you. Yeah, we've been talking about the War Report for the last 2 or 3 months, even longer than that. They want a summer of rage, the 2.0 George Floyd riots. That's part of the chaotic plan. The crazy thing about that is they said 5 to 99 years. Mm-hmm. I don't know how you can have such an extreme 5 or 99 for murder. Maybe that's just the guidelines. That's a big gap. That's 94 years. So, all right, let's continue in the feed. All right, the ceasefire's over. This is Buzz Patterson. Iran's IRGC just launched a major attack on U.S. bases in Iraq using drones and missiles to target American forces. We'll see what President Trump does. You saw Kara talking about, or read the True Social about President Trump, that we will respond. I imagine that's going to be quite something with a response. Gunther, just in, a federal judge blocked President Trump's you can't make this stuff up. These rogue judges blocked $100,000 H-1B visa fee, ruling it's unauthorized tax on businesses and order it vacated. These rogue judges. They have no right to to get involved in that. All right, here's Lara Logan. You saw her on with me yesterday. She was on with Benny Johnson. Lara Logan drops bombshell, says U.S. went after Maduro because they rightly knew Venezuela rigged the 2020 election with Iran and the CCP. Claims an eyewitness is in custody. Venezuela stole the election from Trump, working with Iran. Let's see the rest. Remember when we were talking about this, Lara Logan and I, on Take 5, and some of our other guests, people thought it was conspiracy. It is all coming true. All right. Sitting in prison while actually an eyewitness to the theft. You want to know why President Trump doesn't get the support that he needs from a country like Spain? The cartel in Venezuela that runs the country, De La Sols, selected the Spanish prime minister. Why does America get all this heat from all over the world? The globalist Marxist Islamic alliance that uses these cartels as its army all work together. The election in LA isn't about one enemy. It's about all of America's enemies working together. And you see why they'll never stop cheating. Because if they stop cheating, they will not have control of elected officials. And when there's the right people, we the people put the right politicians in, then you're going to start seeing people get arrested. They think they can continue to steal and cheat. But as Psalm 2 says, why do the nations rage? Why do they plot a vain thing? Why do they go against my anointed one? He who sits in heavens laughs. God is about ready to step in. All right, this is A Blaze for Good. Let's watch.
Tens of thousands of mosques in Iran have closed, with millions of people leaving Islam to follow Jesus. What on earth is happening? Well, Houman Khalili, who was born in Iran to a Muslim family, is here with the overwhelming details. So, my brother, paint us an accurate depiction of what's happening in Iran.
So, Raj, thanks for having me. Yeah, right now what's happening in Iran is there is incredible unrest. For the last 40 years since the Islamic regime has been running the show, the people of Iran have just been miserable. The economy has been rough. The amount of suppression has been brutal. Every cent that the Islamic regime gets or is able to raise from other countries or from the United Nations, they use it for terrorism for all around the world. Never forget, the Islamic regime is the #1 sponsor of terrorism. They fund Hamas, Hezbollah, ISIS, the Houthis. It is just an endless well of difficulty and misery. On top of that, they're building the drones for Russia to attack Ukraine. So right now, the people are rising up in a way that nobody seems to have expected. It has a staying power that none of the other revolutions of the past 40 years have had. And it's all led by the women. The women of Iran are running the show, and they're saying enough is enough.
Never forget what I just said there. Jesus Christ is Lord. That's why no matter what evil throws at us the next days to weeks, we're going to have a summer of hotness. It's going to look dark. But remember, our King of Kings and Lord of Hosts is going to step up. And we're going to see miracles like we've never seen before. He's got it. All right, Dr. Maloof, a Palestinian Islamic preacher in Jerusalem, sends a message to the Queers for Palestine in the West. When Palestine is free, not a single homosexual will be allowed to live in our pure land. You know, they think that you can say that stuff in the United States, but the truth of the matter is he told the truth. Sometimes telling the truth is it. If you went in and had that lifestyle in a strong Muslim country, they would kill you. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. They wouldn't make it 10 minutes in Palestine. All right, Chicago One Ray, boom, reach around and give yourself a big pat on the back. Trump heard you, and he's getting involved. We'll see what the rest of this. He's calling for the immediate firing of McDonnell, the Senate parliamentarian who required key parts of the Save America Act to need 60 votes. Get rid of her. Many calls on top of that, too, as we said yesterday, for J.D. Vance to take over from John Thune, because as the vice president, he is the president of the Senate. Constitutionally, he can, and we need it. All right, Shiraz Sabra, Iran's Minister of Intelligence, Khalib, was killed overnight in a precision strike, a senior Israeli official told Fox News. The U.S. government had been offering a reward for information on Khatib, who was responsible for overseeing Iran's entire global terror. Let's see the rest. Global terror apparatus. His network specifically targeted current and former U.S. officials, including President Donald Trump, the official added. All right, let's continue. All right, Shaggy, California election insiders, whistleblowers are reportedly feeding the Department of Justice evidence of fraud in the L.A. mayor primary race. There's got to be tons. They pushed this thing so hard. We're gonna get to the truth of this. The question is, once this truth comes out, is that when Tulsi Gabbard is going to start rolling out these bombshells on the stolen election? You saw what Lara Logan was talking about in Venezuela. We have all the information, and there was foreign entities trying to steal our election in 2020, and they tried to do it in 2024, and by the grace of God, was stopped at the last second. All right, RNC Research, Telrico, we have to protect good-paying oil gas jobs. He introduced a bill in Texas legislation to try and eliminate the oil and gas industry in Texas. You talk about a two-face. He says one thing and another, and he's definitely not an ambassador of Jesus Christ, because everything he says about our Lord and the Bible is complete heresy. All right, here's Jay. This is Steve Hilton. Let's watch.
There's one thing that is just extraordinary to anyone watching, which is this mail-in ballot 7 days after the election. The argument is, well, we want maximum participation. So if someone wants to vote on election day, we're going to treat sending in a mail ballot the same as if you were voting. That's why we're going to give 7 days for the ballot to arrive. But there's a line in the law that says that actually the proof that you mailed your ballot on or just before election day, even if it arrives after election day, it's not just the postmark. You can write it. You can handwrite the date.
Wow.
And that counts. It's not, I was talking about this at the last elections. I had a whistleblower from the Postal Service explaining this. So just to be really clear what that means, you can backdate your ballot.
By hand.
Counted by hand, and it will be counted. That's how
outrageous.
Insane this system is.
I didn't even know that. That is outrageous. Oh, my God.
And I was told the executive order that President Trump gave, I believe it was in April of this year in that ballpark, specifically around mail-in ballots in the post office. I'm told that's going to come back and go right after what they tried to do in California. So we're going to keep a close eye on that. And there hasn't been any judge, even rogue judge, that I know of, to stop that executive order. It is in play. All right, here's Attorney General Ken Paxton breaking an attempt to make himself appear less of a radical freak. Tallarico is trying to walk back his position on child mutilization. Texas remembers. Yes, we do. Never forget. Videos forever. Pamela, the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Central District of California, just announced multiple election fraud investigations related to the California primary elections. We need massive FBI raids and to lock people up. Also, I don't think I brought this up yesterday on the War Report, but over the weekend, and it might have been on Friday too, there was reports in California of special forces going in the dark. And the official announcement was just that they were doing exercises. It didn't look like exercises there. They're going after something of major importance, and it is in the L.A. area. All right, Real Robert, John Thune has just rejected the Save America Act as part of the budget reconciliation, 48-50. Let's click on this. These are the 4 rhinos that didn't support President Trump. Let's raise it up so we can see the first name up there. Bring it down a little bit. Bring the screen down. Mitch McConnell, Lisa Murkowski, Tom Tillis, and I think it's Collins. Yep, Susan Collins. You always got to remember those names. Because we have to hold them accountable. All right, let's listen to Steven Spielberg. They're going to come up with some kind of alien nonsense probably this summer. Remember, this movie is coming out on Friday. Let's watch.
This truth were just known overnight. If the government announced, yes, we have been keeping this from you since 1947, that would mess up a lot of people. And the movie also takes the position of the church. What does this do to the fundamental beliefs that many of us have? And, is God our God only on this planet? Or is God a God for every system where there's civilization, intelligent life, and even developing life?
Yes, he is a God. He's a God of all, and he wins. Every weekend on Saturday or Sunday, I rotate. Instead of just getting into my normal Bible studies, I get into the book of Enoch and the book of Yasser. Been really going deep in the book of Enoch. You can see why they wanted the book of Enoch not part of the canon, because when you understand the book of Enoch, all this alien stuff makes perfect sense. All right, Eric, just in a huge Trump win, Switzerland companies have invested a whopping $27 billion in the United States over the past several months because of a 47th tariff agreement, including industrial capacity. So bring that home. Let's get out of the war. Get the Iranian people on their own with new leadership. Get the mullahs out of there, and we're going to see an economy that just takes off. Wall Street Mav. Ever since U.S. aid was defunded and thousands of NGO contracts were canceled, left-wing parties are losing in Central and South America. We're seeing that everywhere. You defund the evil, and they have no way to pay for it. And just think, it was all our taxpayer dollars going through U.S. aid and through these NGOs. How brilliant was it for Elon Musk and President Trump? Right out of the gate of his second term, he goes right after with Doge, after U.S. aid and all this corruption and tracing the money back to NGO. Wait till you see Venezuela and wait till you see Ukraine. Ukraine is the motherlode of all the corruption, money laundering. All right, U.S. Homeland Security news. Possible Iranian nuclear test. A magnitude 5.0 earthquake struck Sargis in Iran's southern province, according to Iranian state media. Netanyahu confirms that Iran has nuclear weapons in a statement today. So that ties into what I was told and then what Benjamin Netanyahu said on Sunday. The question is, was it something they built, or did they get it somewhere else, or was it a rogue suitcase? We don't know. MAGA voice. Let's listen to Speaker Johnson.
So does the tip of the iceberg.
Speaking of fraud, the president keeps saying that there's election fraud in the California mayor's race. What evidence is there to prove that?
You tell me, Manu. They are counting votes weeks after the election. We have entire nations with huge populations, like India, that can count their votes in 24 to 48 hours.
You're saying it's rigged like the president?
I'm not saying it's rigged. I'm saying it stinks to high heaven, and every. Let's remove the appearance of impropriety. Let's have what a concept. Let's have votes on an election the day of the election. That's what many states are able to do. I think California is playing around with this.
But what evidence is there to prove that there was rigged?
Look, some of these efforts are so diabolical and so far upstream it is impossible to prove. But I think everybody knows instinctively something is wrong here. And that's a concern. We need people to believe in the integrity of our election system. It is critical to maintain a constitutional republic. We're going to keep working to pass the Save America Act because it requires, as you know, proof of citizenship and a photo ID to vote. Those are also plus issues in public. And Democrats understand that's necessary. We have
Aren't
to
you all just saying that because you've lost the election because the Republicans did not win in this race? This is why you're hearing that?
I'm saying that every leader of all parties should demand election integrity. And if somebody is opposing that, you should look at their motives. That's what I'm saying.
We'll see you later.
All right, CBS News exclusive. The Trump administration plans to announce it is seeking to revoke the citizenship of 17 U.S. citizens accused of immigration fraud, expanding its unprecedented denaturalization campaign. This is CBS News. Making it sound like it's a bad thing. You lie to get into this country. That's fraud. That means to be revoked. We need to do that. Remember, earlier I said J.J. Carroll says when he was on His Glory that 50 million illegals came in to the United States, at least 50 at that time. He said there was another 55 million that had H-1Bs or were in that category that you just saw there. So that's 105 million illegal aliens. That is a third of the population of the entire United States. All right, where we go one, we go all. Bombshell news, a stunning 5-4 ruling. The U.S. Supreme Court has granted President Trump broad wartime authority over the 1798 Aliens Enemies Act, especially the Venezuelan gang right there, Aragua. All right, Night Sky News journalist George Knapp says that the two scientists working at Skinwalker Ranch told him they witnessed a glowing portal open in the air and that a humanoid figure stepped out of it before disappearing. We're going to hear a lot more crazy stories. The question is, what are they going to do on a worldwide event to try to fool people? This is all about fooling. All right, this is President Trump.
He's acting Attorney General. Tomorrow I'm instructing Dan and everybody else that's involved in that very complicated process, which is going to go, I think, very quickly, that we are going to make him permanent Attorney General.
All right, Chicago One Ray fact. J.D. Vance can walk into the chamber, take the presiding officer's chair as Senate president, and enforce the rules that would enable a talking filibuster. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. I believe Mike Lee, I got a text message from somebody that said that Mike Lee wants to do that. All right. Yeah. Breaking. Iran's leadership has reportedly lost contact with Supreme Leader Mojab Khomeini since last night. No confirmation, but it sounds like he may no longer be. All right, here's Tony. Meet Shirley Weber. Shirley is the California Secretary of State. She is the key official refusing to fully comply with the DOJ's demand to clean up the voter rolls. She's refusing. Now you see why she's refusing. Because they want to cheat. All right, here's breaking DOJ, President Trump. Let's watch.
Yeah, well, absolutely. And that's one of the angles that we're looking at is the people who committed immigration fraud against our system and how do we denaturalize those people and send them back to where they came from. There's also, as you know, Will, under the Biden administration, there was a big blurring of the lines between illegal and legal immigration. The Biden administration would often take people who were coming in on fraudulent asylum claims, fraudulent refugee claims, and basically wave the magic wand of amnesty and say, we're not going to enforce the immigration laws against those people. people. The first thing, and maybe the most important thing that we did in the Trump administration, is that we stopped that from happening. But then you still have a lot of people who benefited from that Biden administration amnesty program. We're trying to unwind as much of that as possible. We've already had some success, by the way, Will, despite the fact that left-wing radicals in the justice system, the court system, have tried to stop us. We have been able to denaturalize and actually unwind that temporary protected status, a lot of those fraudulent asylum claims. So that work has been happening, but it's going to keep on happening so long as Donald Trump is president. I think Minneapolis is the tip of the iceberg. I think there's sort of a good news, bad news situation in that, Will, which, the good news is that we're stopping the fraud that's happening against the American taxpayer. The bad news is that my own children will never be able to attend school at the Quality Learning Center. So, you
All right, Spielberg says Alien movie will leave Christians questioning their faith in God. No, not true Christians. We know that our King of Kings and Lord of Hosts is King, and we put our hope in him and nothing else. This is where a lot of the church is going to be baffled because they were taught a misteaching, the Seth theory, instead of these fallen angels that the book of Enoch talks about. Even in our own Bible, it mentions Nephilim, Anak, Anami 47 times, the seed of the serpent. We remember the seed of the woman, which is the virgin birth. But right next verse in Genesis said the seed of the serpent. Satan has always had a seed, and that seed word in Hebrew means sperm. That's exactly what the Watchers did. They came down on Mount Hermon and rebelled against God and created an offspring called Nephilim with the fair women. And that's where we see all this craziness hit the world. And that's why God sent the flood to wipe them out. And that's where dinosaurs came from as well. All right, that wraps up today's War Report. God bless you and go in his shalom.